Sometimes you just got to do it yourself.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Taco Comfort Solutions.
You know, used to be, that's the most famous Rhode Island phrase ever, right? Used to be, you know, where the thing used to be. Well, it used to be that every spring and summer I'd be railing on the radio, and even here, you know, this television show is what, 5.5 years old now, and television career is 25% of the radio career, 20 years here in Rhode Island, and for the first, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 years, every spring and summer, I'd be like, hey, this place is a dump. The lawn is this high. It's not lawn, it's crabgrass and the garbage on the highways. And, you know, we have, you know, welcome to beautiful Rhode Island signs all over the state, and then people drive in and say, really? One guy finally was fed up enough to do something about it, and he riled the state DOT director pretty much on that, and he's going to be your guest and mine this evening. So stay tuned for that. Great to have you in. Thanks very much for tuning in to my State of Mind, which is flummoxed because, see, this is why I only buy the cheap ones. I just sat on them. So I don't know how this is going to go. Just, you know, we're casual around here. Bob Mueller isn't, though. Very formal. Very formal. Here's his headline, and here's what the network had to say with the midday coverage of this substantial, not so substantial statement.
Special counsel Robert Mueller says his office could not consider whether President Trump committed a crime by obstructing justice because he's a sitting president.
If we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so. We did not, however, make a determination as to whether the president did commit a crime.
Mueller also laid out what Russia did to influence the election and Hillary Clinton's campaign.
There were multiple, systematic efforts to interfere in our election. And that allegation deserves the attention of every American.
President Trump has always maintained he and his campaign did nothing wrong, saying this in March when Attorney General William Barr released a summary of the report.
There was no collusion with Russia. There was no obstruction, and none whatsoever. And it was a complete and total exoneration.
The Attorney General released a redacted version of the Mueller report last month. It found no conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia, but it did list 10 instances where the president possibly attempted to obstruct justice.
Democrats have called for Mueller to testify before Congress. He says if he does so, he would not speak about anything beyond the report.
We chose those words carefully, and the work speaks for itself. And the report is my testimony.
A senior administration official says the White House was notified last night that Mueller might make a statement today. What he was planning to say was not revealed. Mueller says he'll resign from the Justice Department now that his work is complete.
Listen, the most important take from this whole thing is that the Russians are most likely going to be at it again. And with the lack of bipartisanship over this matter and just about everything else in Washington, hardly any work is being done to prevent that from affecting the 2020 election, right? So I don't know how we're going to get there from here. An impeachment process probably isn't going to help. At the same time, Bob Mueller more or less baited the Democrats to take up an impeachment process. Again, his quote is, oh, if we had confidence the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so, which leaves everybody in kind of a place to define where they want to be on this whole situation. He, by the way, doesn't have the right and probably wouldn't refuse a subpoena, and he would have to read from the report. And every time he read from the report, it would be damning to the president. Would it affect the Senate, though? And is there an impeachment adjudication going to happen there? No. So, you know, Nancy Pelosi's gut on this is going to rule the day, but somewhere along the line, America has to be first in this, and that is a prevention of what the Russians have done and what they're planning on doing. All right. Statute of limitations, this is interesting. This has been a battle ongoing in our General Assembly. Anita Buffoni offered a live report in the news last night that summarized it.
The House Judiciary Committee's vote was unanimous, all members voting in favor of a bill that would extend the statute of limitations on child sexual abuse cases. The legislation would extend the statute of limitations from 7 years to 35 years after the victim turns 18. This bill changed slightly since it was before the committee last year and now would allow anyone under the age of 53 to bring allegations against an alleged perpetrator if it happened prior to this bill going into effect. It also added a 7-year discovery period for victims to come forward. Rep. Carol Hagan-McEntee is the bill's sponsor. Victims testified before the House Judiciary Committee in February to share their stories and express support for this bill, including Sarah Klein, who is the Olympic gymnastic team doctor Larry Nassar's first known victim.
As many people say, it's not about the money, but sometimes the only way to stop an institution or a pedophile is get them in the pocketbook if you can't prove them criminally.
There are many survivors here in Rhode Island who have similar stories to mine. Children who watch cartoons and play with Barbies don't often realize that they are being sexually abused until many years or often decades later.
Now, I spoke with Speaker Nicholas Mattiello earlier today. He did express his support on this legislation and says it will be in the House on Thursday. He says he anticipates full support on this bill. Reporting live from the State House, I'm Anita Buffoni, Eyewitness News.
There's been a full court press on this. The church hates this, but the church has made some good moves. I'm talking about the Catholic Church. It's not just the Catholic Church. I mean, there are plenty of organizations on both a church level and beyond that don't want to have the liability for this. But the moral responsibility has got to come first here. And I just think the social wear and tear that's gone on over victims who understandably carry this forever and do not get any redress in a short period of time because they haven't come to grips with it in a short period of time, they need to be super served here. And I think everyone's just going to have to back off from an organizational, institutional point of view, accept that this is the reality, and continue to work on prevention. Simple as that. I'm guessing this will pass, and I think it's a good thing. In the meantime, this was interesting yesterday. Did you know that it was National Feminine Hygiene Day yesterday? I did not know that until later in the afternoon when a labor organization put out a press release with a major contribution GoFundMe program for feminine products, and Mayor Elorza himself had his own receipt of $100,000 worth of feminine products to be used in the city. He made a comment which makes a lot of people, I don't know, uncomfortable, but it's true.
And what we have to recognize and realize is that periods are a part of life, period. And we have to get comfortable saying words like menstruation, tampons, and pads. It's just a reality that our kids face in our school every day. And given that that's the reality, and those are the challenges that many of our kids face in coming into school every day, we as problem solvers at the city level want to help address that challenge head on.
Both groups who were active on this yesterday were talking about the stigma surrounding this, and I understand it. Listen, there's a lot of estrogen in my life. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. I have 4 sisters that came behind me. I didn't pay a lot of attention to this. I can promise you. I have a daughter. I have a wife. You know, I think the first thing you got to stop doing is calling it the thing. You know, right? Or your situation, or whatever other word people just want to fill in. I give the mayor credit for stepping out and using the language which is applicable and accurate. I think that's the first step toward just making this very natural human event not so eventish, right? Number one. Number two, I think we have to have a pretty good conversation about public facilities and whether or not these products ought to be ample, just like toilet paper is. It used to be, I think, back in my day, you know, when I was a lifeguard, I used to clean the restrooms. I would see ample supplies. I don't know if there was a theft issue in the culture over the last 15, 20 years where businesses and taxpayer-funded facilities decided that they wouldn't provide these, but it seems to me as someone who doesn't experience this, that this is a natural situation, not unlike going potty, that we really need to supply for. So, I don't know, that's my take. I didn't know it was National Feminine Hygiene Day, but I'm all for it. All right. As I am my guest's project, in a sense, until I got admonished by the state DOT director yesterday. He was the headline that caused some interest. And I thought, son of a gun, good for him, because I have been thinking I want to do this for a long time. How bad was the exit? It was. We'll show some pictures later, but it was pretty high. Huh?
It was 4 feet tall, literally 4 feet tall, almost at neck height, and that's what we had to. I had to work with, and it was. I had to get the biggest lawnmower I could get my hands on, and went to Home Depot, and I says, I need the biggest thing you've got. What do you got? He says, well, you got this big 18-horse hydraulic unit, and he's giving me all the specs on it. I says, I'll take it. And I didn't tell him what I was going to do with it. And I took it next door, because Home Depot's across the street, and I proceeded to start cutting the grass, because for the past 20, 30 years I've been living in Johnston. I've been looking at this. Every time I come home, there's a forest over there. It looks unpresentable. It makes Johnston look bad. It makes the whole state look bad. Every on and off ramp in this state has looked this bad.
So I should introduce Frank Ritchie, who is a Johnston resident, owns the company Alpha Graphics, ran for state senate last year, and the DOT director thinks this is nothing but a political stunt. When we come back, we'll explain a little bit more about what his motive was, the reaction to it, and a little bit later, the state DOT director's reaction, which was, well, direct. We'll be right back. Well, that is pretty thick. So you rented a mower at Home Depot for $90. Was that what it was?
Yeah.
That's a one-day rental.
4 hours.
Oh, you're 4 hours for $90.
They give you 4 hours for $90. So it's kind of steep, and you can obviously, if you're an hour late or something, they'll grab you for another hour. But it was well worth it.
So you live right off the Route 6 Atwood Avenue exit off 295. Is it you travel it daily?
Every single day.
And the grass is up to here, and you're fed up, and so you weren't in the median. You were on the ramp.
Right on the off ramp itself, just coming down there. And it was really literally right to the street. And they say, well, if it was blocking the street, we would have come there and done it sooner. Well, it's been blocking the street for a bunch of weeks now. So I've been wanting to do this for a while, and finally I said, you know what, I've had enough of this. And I said, I'm going to do something to make a difference. And it was Memorial Day, and I said, you know what, our soldiers fought and died for us, and they deserve something better than coming to look into something that looks like a third world country. There was so much garbage in there on top of it, so I had to go pick the garbage out of it.
Yeah, mowing in there is dangerous. Did you pick so what was your technique? You pick the garbage first and then you mow, or you mow and go, oh, hit something, go, oh, geez.
Oh, no, the new mowers today, they're great. Everyone's commenting, oh, where you hit a rock. Well, the new mowers have this anti-rock thing going on, so they have like this catch basin, so it pushes the rocks out of the way, or if you hit it, it will stop, because if it's hydraulic, it just shuts off. So no issues at that. The blade's all concealed.
And then what do? You just vroom again?
No, it never stops. The thing, it's because it's hydraulic, it just lets go. And then you just keep on going. And this thing that Mr. Alvidi's saying, oh, it's dangerous. It's not dangerous if you have the right equipment and, like he said, the right training. So that's good. But I mowed that thing 4 hours straight, never stopped, never took a break. Well, I had to drink about 3 gallons of water, but it was well worth it.
But I'm trying to figure out what your listen. I have been feigning some environmental vigilantism around here for a long time. Now, I did get half the doggone state to take down some political signs that were illegally posted on ramps. This is years ago when Patrick Kennedy was running for Congress. I was fit to be tied with the number of signs that were put out on the highways, and literally over the course of 3 hours on the radio show, we had cleaned the whole state up because people were dialing in to me about what they had grabbed and all of that. I've threatened to do so on the grass and the garbage. But haven't pulled that trigger, so to speak.
No,
what caused you to? I know you don't like it.
Yeah.
You're seeing it. You're making the speech, but did you ask anybody? Did you talk to your family? Did you talk to coworkers? You said, you know what, that's it. I'm doing it on my own. I'm going to Home Depot. I'm just taking care of it, period.
That's exactly what I did. I just
You
said,
you didn't discuss it with anybody?
well, I discussed it with my son and my father, and they thought I was nuts. And I says, you know what? I've had it. I said, nobody's going to do this unless somebody gets up there and makes a statement and says, you know what? I'm sick and tired of this, and I'm not going to take it anymore, and I'm going to go do this because I have to show the state that they don't know how to cut the darn grass. And once I got out there, people were high-fiving me, giving me thumbs up. Facebook is absolutely blowing up. And
was it clear to everybody who was driving by that you were not a state DOT worker?
It was Monday.
It was all right. It's a holiday.
It's a holiday.
Right. Okay.
And I had this nice big hat on, and I'm all by myself with this little 32-inch brush mower. And
how big was that piece of property?
It was huge. It had to be at least 3 acres, minimum 3 acres. It just went on and on. I felt like I was never going to finish it. But I really didn't finish. After 4 hours, I was completely exhausted, and I gave up at that point.
You ran for state senate.
Yes.
You got 40% against Frank Lombardo.
Yes, I did. District
25. You're thinking about doing this again?
I'm thinking about doing it again. It's something I really want to do. I really want to go up there and have the voices of government get out of the way and let us do our thing.
Was part of your motivation of renting the lawnmower, doing the whole thing, to create attention for your campaign, or just to do the right thing because you've had it?
I had it. It's got nothing to do with it as far as getting notoriety. I didn't call any radio station and say, hey, listen, I'm going to go do this
Well, how
today.
did it get online? How did Go Local pick it up?
Everyone taking pictures and started sending pictures in.
Sending them in.
Yeah, I took a couple of selfies of myself, but I didn't send them in. I put them on social media, and I say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and Go Local Prop picked it up.
Okay. When we come back, the DOT director sees this thing quite differently. You'll find out what he had to say when we return. Stay with us. So after I spoke to Mr. Ritchie on the radio yesterday on WPRO, weekdays 3 till 6, I thought it was only fair that we call the DOT director, because here is a Johnston resident renting a mower and hanging out on the public byways here, clearly on state property, probably doing something illegal. Figure I asked the DOT director. Here are some edited remarks from the radio show yesterday.
For Mr. Ritchie or anyone to encourage people to go out there and do the same thing would create anarchy along the highways. I mean, it would be basically putting a lot of people in harm's way. Those for people who are not trained in how to access and or do that kind of work in the middle of traffic could be very dangerous, and I'd hate to see anybody go out there and get hurt doing this. This is very apparently, very transparently a stunt by Mr. Ritchie, who is, I understand, running for office. Right now we have 10 vacant positions that are, we're looking for highway maintenance operators who we can hire to go out and do this kind of work and have more of them. We're trying to ramp up.
So what happened here is I was asking, you know, why is it such a project? Why does it take so long around here? And he was saying more or less that he's got 10 vacant positions and as many as a couple of dozen jobs that are budgeted.
Yes.
And he can't find the people. Now, we checked the requirements and the job. It's like a $42,000 full-time job. It requires a CDL license, so you got to be able, because they won't hire part-time. They want to hire full-time, and they want somebody who can drive a snow plow, which is the other job, which seems to me to be counterproductive, that if you can't find the full-time, hire some part-time people, or take the $1 million or so that's budgeted for this and hire some private contractors and get out there and clean the joint.
Yeah, I've seen...
I don't think you're for hire, right?
No, I've got 3 businesses I'm running. That's enough.
Yeah.
But I saw just today, there were some people there with these big tractors that are going out there and doing residential and they're doing industrial sites that they're mowing, and their equipment's better than the state's got. Now, the state every year has to go out...
The rental you had from Home Depot is probably better than the state's got.
It probably was. But But they go out every year during the winter time and have contractors come out for snow plows. Okay, well, why can't you get some of these guys who have this monstrous equipment and have them help you out? If you've got all this open area and you've got $1 million to spend, spend it. Do it for the public good. Don't do it because, well, I can't find anybody and I give up. I mean, where do you advertise this stuff? You advertise it where the people are. You go to Indeed, you go to Monster. I looked on those places today. There was absolutely nothing there about for the state of Rhode Island.
Yeah, it's just on the State Human Resources site.
It's
That's the
a
only
waste
place.
of time. Nobody goes there. I've tried advertising there. I've got 3 applicants. In 3 days, I had 33 applicants for graphic artists, and these people were all outstanding. So he's looking in the wrong places.
What about this charge that it was nothing more than a political stunt to advance your candidacy?
You know what? If it does, that's great. And I'll tell you why. Because I'll be a voice up there. I'm going to go up there. I'm going to tell you the way it is. I'm going to give you the solution. And then we're going to try to make it happen.
So there is a little bit of that.
There is something.
There's a little bit of marketing. Well, your
totally
answer to the last segment was, no, it was all about doing the right thing. And now you're saying,
yeah, it is a little bit of
But
it.
here's my take on it. You know, I'm not too easy on political types that try to get by me here. But I'm giving you a complete pass because a means to the end or whatever, this is something that has drawn some attention. It's bringing the DOT under a significant light, not necessarily for the big stuff like the tolls and the roadworks program and the bridges and all that kind of a thing, and even the pothole problems that we have here. This is an aesthetic problem that belies the Rhode Island beautiful notion, hurts our tourism, hurts our economy, and hurts our quality of life because we don't feel good about ourselves because the place looks sloppy.
Yeah.
So I appreciate whether it's a tactic to bring attention to your campaign. I appreciate what you've done. I do.
It was not originally nothing political was about this stuff because before that I was always stopping and cleaning up with the people there and they're begging money, and I cleaned some of the posts that had graffiti all over that. I didn't go publicize all that. I could have done all that stuff, but I didn't. So I really wanted to make a difference, and that's the only way I could figure out to do it.
Now, are you launching your campaign yet, or it's pretty early, right?
It's way too early.
Early in the game.
I'm going to let Mr. Lombardo do what he does. He was with the Boy Scouts today.
By the way, the
kudos for him.
senator thanked you for what you did, I heard.
He did. He sent me a good job. We need more people like you in the State House, and you know what? I would love to
We need
be
more
up
people
there.
in the State House. Just run for something else. Not my job. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
But it is embarrassing when you have big companies in Johnston. We have some major companies there, and they're trying to impress their people that they're bringing in there, and they get us on ramp.
Well, you know,
that
you
looks
say
terrible.
that. I got to check the Citizens' new ramp because I bet you it's not left untidy. No, right, Anita? Anita's a Johnston girl, so she would know.
Oh, fellow Johnston, way to go.
We got a bit you do. Frank, thanks for your time. Thanks for what you did, and keep in touch. Let us know.
Absolutely.
All right, appreciate
Thank
that. The final word when we come back. Dangerous or not, it's not like Frank is going to have an army out there unless we start soliciting. No, we can't do that. But he's made a point that I think is incredibly well taken, and I hope that the state takes notice in more than just a token way. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, right? In Coventry, they're going to have a second vote, a second bite at the apple on how to fund that place. The superintendent of schools will be here tomorrow night to talk about it. So we'll see you then. And on the radio at 3 on WPRO tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.